Welcome back to Revise and Resubmit, the podcast that takes, those really dense academic papers and makes them surprisingly interesting. I'm Pavlov.
And I'm Nikita. Ever wonder how research actually makes it from a scientist's desk to, a published journal?
It's a process most people don't really think about.
Yeah, kind of shrouded in mysteries, right? Until now. Today, we're doing a deep dive into the world of academic publishing, specifically peer review.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah, that crucial system that evaluates research before the world ever sees it.
Make sure it's legit.
Exactly. Yeah. And we're not just talking about how peer review works, though. We're going to learn how to give really constructive feedback.
The kind that helps, not just criticizes.
Yes. Elevating research instead of just tearing it down,
I like that. It's important. What's fascinating about peer review is that it's really the foundation of trust in all these academic findings. Without it, we'd just be lost.
Lost in a sea of unverified claims.
Exactly. A sea of nonsense.
Total chaos. So, to guide us on this journey, we've got a really insightful editorial from the Journal of Marketing. Yeah. It's titled Constructive Peer Review Made Practical, a Guide to the Empathy Framework.
Catchy title.
It is. And it's written by Shrihari Sridhar, the journal's editor-in-chief.
So he knows what he's talking about.
Oh, absolutely. And it's full of practical advice on how to be a better reviewer.
Which is what we all need.
Right. Because here's the thing. Sridhar points out this problem that, honestly, I think a lot of reviewers face. They're great at spotting the flaws.
Oh, yeah.
But not so great at suggesting solutions.
Like they know what's wrong, but not how to make it better.
Yes. It's like they've been trained to be, flaw detectives.
Instead of research coaches.
Exactly. And, that approach can actually hinder scientific progress.
How so?
Well, it can be really discouraging for researchers, especially new ones.
I can see that. You get all this negative feedback and it's like, why bother?
Right. But Sridhar is arguing that there's a better way. Constructive peer review.
So it's about being helpful, not just critical.
Exactly. It's a win-win for everybody involved.
How do you mean?
Well, think about it. It benefits the author, obviously, because they get concrete advice on how to improve their work.
Makes sense.
But it also benefits the reviewer.
Oh, interesting. How?
Because you're helping to shape the direction of research in your field.
You're part of the solution, not just pointing out problems.
Exactly. And of course, it benefits the entire field because, if we can help researchers improve their work, then we're accelerating the pace of discovery.
It's like raising the tide for everyone.
Right. So how do we actually do this constructive peer review? Well, Sridhar lays out this brilliant 7-stage framework called the empathy framework.
Empathy. I love that. It really highlights the mindset shift.
It's not about being Mr. or Mrs. Negative. It's about understanding, guidance, focus on growth.
Right. And we're not just going to list the stages and call it a day. We're going to unpack each one, really explore what it means for you as a reviewer.
Let's get into it.
Okay, so first up, end goal in mind. This is stage 1.
Okay, end goal. Sounds important. Oh, it is. It's about really understanding the journal you're reviewing for, its specific mission, its audience.
So it's not just about evaluating the research in a vacuum. You need context.
Yes.
Yeah.
When you're reviewing a paper, you're not just asking, is this good research? You're also asking, does this actually move the field forward in a meaningful way? And is it right for this specific journal?
Because different journals have different focuses.
Exactly. And Sridhar uses the Journal of Marketing as a really great example here. He says that reviewers for JoM should always consider the journal's mission, which is to publish research that advances both marketing science and e-practice.
So it's not just theoretical. It needs to have real-world application.
Exactly. You're not just looking for theoretical contributions. You're also asking, can this research actually be applied in the real world? Will it help marketers make better decisions?
It needs to be actionable.
Right. And I think this applies to all fields, not just marketing. You always need to keep the journal's audience and purpose in mind.
It's like tailoring your feedback to the specific context.
Exactly. Okay, so that's end goal in mind. Stage 2 of the empathy framework is all about adopting a developmental mindset. And this is where it gets really interesting.
Okay. Developmental mindset. What does that mean in the context of peer review?
Well, I'm glad you asked. It's about approaching a paper with the goal of helping the author improve, not just listing everything that's wrong.
So less gotcha and more, how can we make this better?
Yes. It's about seeing the potential in the research and offering concrete suggestions to help it reach that potential.
It's like being a mentor, not just a critic.
Exactly. Instead of being, judge, jury, and executioner, you're more like a coach.
Helping the author to refine their skills and achieve their goals.
I like that analogy. It's about shifting the focus from criticism to constructive feedback. So instead of simply saying, the data is insufficient.
Which is kind of a dead-end statement.
Totally. A constructive reviewer might say, the data could be strengthened by including X, Y, or Z. It gives a pathway for improvement, not just shutting down the conversation.
Right. It's offering solutions, not just pointing out problems.
Exactly. And have you ever received feedback that felt more like a personal attack than constructive criticism? I mean, it can be really demoralizing.
Oh, absolutely. I've been there.
Yeah.
And it's not helpful at all.
And that's what Sridhar is trying to combat, this negativity with the empathy framework. He even gives this great example of this mindset shift in action. It's not just about pointing out flaws, it's about reframing your critique into a suggestion.
Give me an example.
Okay, so say you think the data analysis is weak. Instead of just saying, the analysis is flawed, you could say, the analysis could be strengthened by considering these alternative methods. See the difference?
Oh, yeah, totally. It's way more helpful.
It's not about sugarcoating. It's about framing it in a way that encourages growth,
It's about being a good mentor.
Exactly. So we've covered end goal in mind and developmental mindset. On to stage 3. Peruse the paper thoroughly.
That seems pretty self-explanatory.
You'd think so. But Sridhar really stresses this point. You need to truly grasp the research before even starting your review.
Okay, so no skimming.
No skimming. It's tempting to jump straight to the critiques, I get it, but that can lead to misunderstandings and missed opportunities for helpful feedback.
Have you ever gotten feedback that felt completely off base? Like the reviewer didn't even read your paper carefully?
Oh, all the time. And it's so frustrating. It just shows that the reviewer didn't take the time. They didn't really understand the research.
Yeah, that's not good.
Okay, on to stage 4. Allocate critique resources wisely. Now we're getting into the nitty-gritty of giving good feedback.
Okay, hit me with it.
All right, so this is key because we all have limited time and energy, right?
Yeah.
Can't spend hours nitpicking every single detail.
Nope. Need to prioritize.
Exactly. Focus on the issues that really matter. And I love the analogy that Sridhar uses here. He says reviewers should be like traffic lights.
Traffic lights?
Yeah. Deciding what must stop, what can go, and what needs to yield for the research to move forward.
That's a great visual. So, some issues are so fundamental that they just need to be addressed before the paper can even be considered for publication. Those are your stop signs.
Yes. And then others, they might not be deal breakers, but they could still benefit from some refinement. Those are your yield signs.
And then the parts of the paper that are already strong, but maybe just need a few minor tweaks.
Those are your green lights.
I like it. A traffic light system for peer review.
So we've covered 4 stages of the empathy framework. End goal in mind, developmental mindset, peruse the paper thoroughly, and allocate critique resources wisely.
Wow, that's a lot.
And we're just getting started.
Yeah.
Ready to dive into the remaining 3?
Hit me with those last 3 stages.
You got it. So stage 5 is tone. Avoid toxicity, be professional. Pretty self-explanatory, right?
Keep it classy, even when the paper's a mess.
Exactly. We've all been there, right? Reading a paper that makes you want to scream. But Sridhar reminds us there's a human on the other side of that manuscript.
Someone who poured their heart and soul into it.
Yeah. And a harsh review can really discourage someone.
Might even make them quit research altogether.
That's the opposite of what we want. Sridhar even suggests framing your critiques as opportunities.
Opportunities.
Yeah, for improvement. Instead of saying, this analysis is garbage, try, the analysis could be strengthened by...
Ah, I see. Giving them a path forward, not just a slap on the wrist.
Exactly. And it's not just about being nice either. It's being professional. Sridhar talks about declaring any conflicts of interest up front.
Like if you know the author personally.
Exactly. Or if you've collaborated with them before. Anything that might, bias your review.
You got to be transparent.
Right. It keeps things honest and maintains that trust in published research. Okay. Moving on to stage 6. Holistic and balanced assessment. Big picture time.
Holistic, huh? So we're not just focusing on the negatives.
Nope. It's about acknowledging the strengths, too.
Even if it's a rough draft, there might be some gems in there.
Exactly. easy to get caught up in what's wrong, but a good reviewer finds the positives too.
Helps the author feel less attacked, more willing to revise.
Like imagine you're an athlete and your coach only points out your mistakes.
Oof, demoralizing.
Right. But if they also say, hey, you're great at this,
then you're motivated to work on the other stuff.
makes sense. And remember, in peer review, your feedback's just one piece of the puzzle. The editor takes everything into account.
So stay humble.
Right. Avoid saying, this paper must be rejected. It's not your call, ultimately.
Just give your honest assessment.
Okay, final stage. Number 7, your review as a roadmap.
Ooh, I like this one.
It's all about organization, making your feedback clear and actionable. Remember that quote about review comments feeling like a jumbled mess?
Oh yeah, definitely.
This stage is about fixing that, making your feedback like a map, guiding the author toward improvement.
So how do we do that?
Structure. Sridhar says, start with a summary, your overall assessment.
Big picture first. Got it.
Then you get into the major comments, then the minor stuff. Creates a hierarchy.
So they know what to focus on.
And don't forget to number your suggestions, makes them easy to reference.
Right, good tip.
And flow. Your review should have a flow, like a good story. Smooth transitions between sections.
So it all makes sense.
Exactly. Cohesive narrative. Guiding the author, and keep it concise. No one wants to read a novel. Sridhar says aim for 2 pages max.
Be selective.
Prioritize. So there you have it, the 7 stages of the empathy framework.
It's a lot to take in, but it makes sense.
Really changes how you approach peer review, huh?
Definitely. Turns it from a potentially negative experience into something.
Collaborative.
Yeah, and developmental. And even though Sridhar's writing about marketing, this framework,
It's pretty universal.
it's about changing the mindset from criticism to constructive feedback.
From gatekeeping to guidance. Okay, before we wrap up, anything else from the editorial you want to highlight?
I think we did a good job with Sridhar's framework.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's really practical. Anyone can use it,
Yeah.
Anyone who wants to be a better reviewer.
For sure. Help create a more positive research environment overall.
Totally. This whole deep dive, it's really changed how I think about peer review, honestly.
Yeah, how so?
Well, I used to think of it as like weeding out the bad research, right?
Yeah.
Gatekeeping.
The quality control step.
Yeah, but it's so much more than that. It's about helping good research become great.
It's about pushing the boundaries of knowledge, but in a way that's helpful and collaborative.
And imagine if we all embraced this, if every reviewer focused on helping the author.
Instead of tearing them down.
Yeah.
Could really speed things up.
Oh, yeah. Think of the progress we could make in all fields, not just marketing. We could solve some big problems.
So this makes me wonder, what if reviewing was seen as a skill, not just like a chore?
Ooh, that's a good one. What if we actually valued it, rewarded it?
I mean, right now it's kind of a thankless task, right? Something you have to do.
I get ahead, but what if it was celebrated?
As much as publishing your own research.
So many possibilities. We could have awards, incorporate it into tenure decisions.
Formal training programs even.
Mentorship for new reviewers.
Create a whole community around it.
So to wrap up our deep dive into constructive peer review, I really want to encourage everyone to check out Sridhar's full framework.
The empathy framework. It's a game changer.
It is. And remember, the goal isn't to be perfect. It's about the approach.
Empathy, a focus on development, and that commitment to, really advancing knowledge in your field.
That's it. Well said. Thanks for joining us. And until next time, keep those reviews constructive.
And those minds curious. And don't forget to subscribe to Revise and Resubmit on Spotify and Apple Podcasts for more captivating deep dives like this one. And if you're enjoying the show and want to support us in creating more insightful content, consider becoming a patron on Patreon. Every contribution helps us continue this journey of exploration and discovery. Until next time, keep those minds curious, keep questioning, and keep revising and resubmitting.
Of ivory towers where ideas rise and fall. A manuscript is standing waiting for judgment's call. Voices whisper through the pages, sharp like shattered glass. Is this a place for wisdom or just a test to pass? it's art, a mystic craft, a dark and sacred game. But knowledge dies in silence if critique becomes a flame. Take my words and mold them right, lift the paper to the sky. Will you tear me into pieces, or teach me how to fly? 7 steps of guiding light, truth and rigor burning bright. Not a sword but steady hands, shape the words, let thoughts expand. We rise, we fall, but we stand tall. We build, we break, you hear the call. Not to tear down, but to refine. With empathy, the stars align. Will you stand among the few, or just let the fire consume you? This is not the time to stall. Will you rise or will you fall? They say it's art, a mystic craft, a dark and sacred game. But knowledge dies in silence if critique becomes a flame. Take my words and mold them right, lift the paper to the sky. Will you tear me into pieces, or teach me how to fly? Will you stand among the few, or just let the fire consume you? This is not the time to stall. Will you rise? Will you fall?